Hey everybody, it's Dave here from Dragonhill Games. So I just made a really awesome run into Platinum, and I wanted to show you guys the deck that took me there. Please note before we get started, this is for single round arena play, so there's no sideboard tech involved in this video. Alright, before we jump into it, as always, I want to thank you if you're a subscriber. We really appreciate your support, and if not, now's a great time to consider hitting that subscribe button. And following the deck tech, I included some gameplay videos against some of today's top decks, including Jund's Sacrifice, Golgari Midrange, Mardu Knights, and Fires of Invention, so make sure you stick around and check those out. Alright, I'm sure many of you are familiar with how SIMIC FLASH works. Essentially, this is a control deck, and it's designed that pretty much everything will be played on your opponent's turn, including your creatures. Most of them gain effects for being played on your opponent's turn. For example, Briarborn Cutthroat has Flash, and then whenever you cast a spell on your opponent's turn, you'll be putting counters on Briarborn Cutthroat. This thing actually gets out of control. I've had these up to like 12, 11s. Like, it's pretty crazy. Just because, like I said, virtually everything you play will be on your opponent's turn. So a lot of times Briarborn Cutthroat is going to end up being one of your big finishers. A lot of SIMIC FLASH decks these days have gone sort of more of a late game strategy, running things like Nissa, Who Shakes the World, and things of that nature. But I elected to do more of sort of a mid-game kind of strategy, and so my version includes Spectral Sailors, and there's a few reasons why I really like Spectral Sailor. First of all, it's just a 1/1 flash flying creature for 1, and we can pay 4 to draw a card, and you would be surprised how many times late game this will save you. Just being able to draw cards kind of at will at the end of your opponent's turn when you have really nothing else to do is a great added bonus for a creature like this, for sure. But and like I said, a lot of times I'm going to just flash Spectral Sailor in to block, a Scorch Spitter, or you'd be surprised how many opponents think they can get cute by attacking in with their Paradise Druid because they're not going to be casting anything with it this turn. And they're shocked to see a Spectral Sailor, flashed in and block their poor Paradise Druid. And I'll take that trade any day of the week. But Spectral Sailor, pairs really well with Wildborn Preserver, and I'll explain why. So Wildborn Preserver, another creature with Flash, and like I said, most of the creatures we play in this deck do have Flash. So another creature with Flash and Reach, just a really awesome creature in general, 2/2 for 1 green and 1. But he has this awesome ability that whenever you cast another non-human creature, which is everything in this deck, you can pay sort of leftover mana, dump it into him to put extra counters on him. And so, like I said, he pairs really well with Spectral Sailor. You're sitting there with a Wildborn Preserver on the field. Your opponent will attack into you thinking that all they got to worry about is this little 2/2. Maybe you have 3 or 4 mana. You flash in a Spectral Sailor and dump the extra leftover mana into, a Wildborn Preserver, making it, a 4/4 or even a 5/5 or whatever the case may be. Block whatever they attacked with. A lot of times they just won't see something like that coming, and you can do that on the opposite side too, just to close out the game. You could attack in with, say, a 5/5 Wildborn Preserver. It can throw your opponent's math off completely. They think, oh, okay, well, all I gotta deal with is this 5/5. I have 8 life or whatever, and I'm fine, kind of thing. And after blocks are declared and they don't block it, you flash in a Spectral Sailor and dump a bunch of extra more counters onto your Wildborn Preserver and just close out the game. So there's lots of cute little things you can do, and like I said, it pairs really well with Spectral Sailor. Alright, so let's have a look at some of the other stuff. As far as creatures go, Frilled Mystic is sort of one of your big sort of mid-game strategies. It serves well as both a counter spell, because when it enters the battlefield you can counter a target spell, and of course it has Flash. Like I said, virtually every creature except for 1 in this deck does. So nice, just 3/2 body, and we use it to counter a spell. And note, this is on curve with countering into things like Fires of Invention and problem turn 4 spells. So quite often dropping a Mystic in response to them casting out a Fires of Invention will be game. A lot of times they'll either concede from that, or they just something that they can't really recover from. Almost every Fires player plays Fires on turn 4, as soon as they can, kind of thing, which sort of makes sense. but they generally can't recover from having it be countered. So Frilled Mystic is really well suited for that, for sure. And then in the rest of our creatures, I have one Night Pack Ambusher. Many of you know I kind of got to Arena late, so I don't have a lot of the rares that I probably should have. And as soon as I get more rare wild cards, I would definitely be adding at least one more Night Pack Ambusher. I think 2 is a good number. You don't want to be too heavy in this deck. Like, you do need to interact in the early game, so you need a lot of sort of low cost counter spells, things of that nature, to interact with your opponent and basically throw them off their game. And then we throw in things like Night Pack Ambusher, or like Wildborn Preserver, beefed up Wildborn Preserver late in the game are basically kind of our finishers. So I think I would go up to 2, and I would probably go down either one Wildborn Preserver or one Brazen Borrower. And so Night Pack Ambusher, another flash creature, you basically throw it in at the end of your opponent's turn, and since we don't cast spells on our turn, when we pass through our turn, we basically get a free 2/2 wolf creature, and as long as our Night Pack Ambusher is hanging around, other wolves we control get +1/+1, so they end up being 3/3 wolf creature tokens. And a creature like this, combined with your control elements in the deck, will just outvalue your opponent. It'll just end up being that you're just sort of outracing them or outpacing them with all the extra free wolf tokens. And it's great to flash in as a blocker as well. A lot of times, the attack in, especially red deck, attacking in with, just whatever 1/1s or, buffed up little night guys and stuff like that. And just throw Night Pack Ambushers in front of them. And then, so you get a free block, kill something, and then sort of getting all your wolf tokens after that. So like I said, if I had a little bit more rares, I would bump this up to 2, but I think 2 is kind of the magic number. I wouldn't go beyond that. And then I threw in one Questing Beast, and the reason for that is this deck sometimes just needs to get through there, get the job done. And a lot of decks these days are lower cost up, all the cat decks and stuff like that. A lot of low power creatures, so Questing Beast can just kind of smash through their lines, and they can't really do a whole lot about it. Just a good value creature, Questing Beast in general, right? 4 mana for a Vigilance, Death Touch, Haste. Can't be blocked by creatures with 2 or less, and combat damage that would be dealt to your creatures you control can't be prevented. And then, of course, he has the added bonus of whenever you hit your opponent, you can deal 4 damage to one of their planeswalkers. So just a really good sort of closeout creature. I know he doesn't really fit with the Flash theme, but you'll see in gameplay when I use him, it's just basically to end the game and or deal with a problem planeswalker. I also run 4 Brazen Borrowers, and like I said, I think if I put in one more Night Pack Ambusher, I'd probably go down to 3 Brazen Borrowers. Fits in really good with the theme. You can return something that you weren't able to counter to their hand, and then you just have the added bonus of having a 3/1 flyer, which will often get the game done just on its own. So some support spells here. We have 4 Ops, which again, obviously we're casting virtually everything on our opponent's turn, so these will throw into things like adding onto counters for our Briarborn Cutthroats. 2 Growth Spirals just help keep our hand full, drop extra lands on the field so we can get keep pace with our opponents. We want to be able to do things like countering Fires of Invention on turns 4, so Growth Spiral definitely helps add to that, especially if our opponent was on the play. And then a bunch of counter spells, so I run just 1 Sinister Sabotage. 4 Mystical Dispute, this card's really good, especially in the current meta. And then I run 3 Quench, along with, I suppose you could count the 4 Frilled Mystic as counter spells as well. As far as the land package, pretty straightforward. I run 2 Castle Vantress, just good for late game scrying, getting what you need up to the top of the deck. 11 islands, 9 forests, 1 breeding pool, and 1 Temple of Mystery. And I would likely go up to 4 breeding pools had I had enough rares, and I would probably just ditch forests in replacement for those. So that's the deck. I put a link to the entire deck list in the description of this video if you need to check it out at any point, and enjoy watching the gameplay.
ever listen to the crickets? That's my kind of music. We are the apex predators. We are the apex predators. Stay on the trail.
platinum. Alright, I really hope you guys enjoyed watching this video. If you did, go ahead and smash that like button, and we'll see you again soon. Bye for now.